Yo, what's up, guys? In today's video, I got a bunch of Chicago Bulls news and updates. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a possible DeMar DeRozan contract extension with the Chicago Bulls, a bunch of NBA insiders slamming and just completely bashing the Bulls' offseason moves, also talking about a free agent that the Bulls were interested in and missed out on. But before I jump into today's video, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Also, leave a quick like below today's video. It takes a second and helps me out a lot, and some comments and questions below today's video talking about all the news and updates I'm about to jump into. Also, speaking of some updates, definitely check out my last video. I was talking about how Zach LaVine has been seen in the gym working out and how he looks healthy and ready for the NBA season. Also, how the Bulls have turned down many Coby White trades, and I was just recapping Billy Donovan talk about the Bulls free agency and offseason moves. But either way, let's just jump right into today's video, because let's be honest, this is kind of the dead point of the off season, so there's not that much news, updates, and rumors. But a few weeks back, this article did come out from heavy.com, and the article was titled "Bulls Insider Predicts Another Contract Coming for Aging Star." You know, the Chicago Bulls window right now, I'd say, is the win now. It was definitely a concern with the Bulls, I'd say, ownership not letting the Bulls front office obviously spend over the tax in this past offseason. Obviously, with DeMar, Zach, and Vuce, you know, pretty much taking up most of the salary cap, it seems like the Bulls are trying to win now, but they're not spending, and a bunch of NBA insiders have been ripping the Bulls on that. I'm going to talk about that later in today's video. And DeMar DeRozan is currently signed with the Chicago Bulls through the 2023-2024 NBA season. Obviously, he still does have 2 years left on his contract, and he is heading into his 14th NBA season. He will turn 33 in August. And like I did say a few weeks back, NBC Sports Chicago's own Casey Johnson, he was talking on the Bulls Talk podcast, and he was talking about an assignment by SB Nation's Ricky O'Donnell that it could be asking for too much for Patrick Williams to really contribute right away with DeMar DeRozan's window. Actually, my bad, they were not talking about Patrick Williams. They were talking about the NBA draft that has now passed, and they were talking about that, and Casey Johnson did say, "I will add, for whatever it's worth, I do predict DeMar DeRozan does have another contract beyond this one with the Chicago Bulls. I am just told that he's incredibly happy here," and he said, "We'll just see how that plays out." And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. DeMar has loved his time in Chicago. I think that's obvious. He's always smiling, hugging his teammates. Obviously, he just had a career year with the Bulls. I know he's very high on Zach LaVine. He's a good friend of Vuce. It just made so much sense. And let's be real, DeMar DeRozan on his contract right now is a steal, especially after last year's games and performances. And even at the end of his career, you know, in 2023-24, he will only be making $28 million per season. And the salary cap just keeps going up by a lot. That's honestly not bad for an all-star. But obviously, in 2024, he will be 35 years old and an unrestricted free agent. And I wouldn't be mad if the Bulls did re-sign him or give him a contract extension if DeMar DeRozan does keep up his level of play. Obviously, his numbers are going to go down with age, but if the Bulls could maybe, I'd say, sign him to a 1 to 2 year extension, I'd definitely be happy, especially if his price does go down per year. Let me know below today's video if the Bulls should start talking with DeMar DeRozan in the next year or so about a future contract extension with the Bulls. I'm definitely interested, but obviously it all depends on how he ages and his play and everything like that. And the next topic in today's video is about the Bulls just being slammed by a bunch of NBA insiders for their weak off season. I've talked about this in many plans. It's really obvious the Bulls ownership just wanted to be cheap and they didn't want to go over the tax and pay, which is very disappointing in my eyes. You know, I still do believe the off season was okay with what the Bulls could spend. I do think it was obvious the Bulls missed out on a lot of better free agents and better talent, but at the end of the day, Andre Drummond is an upgrade at the backup center position, and it does seem like Dragic is going to play a bigger role than expected with the Lonzo Ball injury updates. But just the other day, a new article did come out, and an NBA insider was grading every team's offseason, and he was not impressed with what the Bulls did, and he gave the team a D+ for what they did this offseason. And he did say some of their biggest moves, including signing past his prime big man Andre Drummond and 36-year-old veteran guard Goran Dragic, which isn't much to write about. Meanwhile, the latest injury updates from Lonzo Ball do not sound good as well. Now, he did say at least they didn't lose Zach LaVine in free agency, but to be honest, I'm still not 100% convinced that LaVine is a max contract guy, and he got one anyway. He did say, though, I will give the Bulls some points because I love their draft pick in Dalen Terry. You know, obviously, re-signing Zach was the main thing surrounding the Bulls offseason. I believe they won free agency just because they did get the best free agent on the market to come back to Chicago. Obviously, Drummond and Dragic aren't big names, but I do believe they're upgrades. Obviously, I wish the Bulls front office and ownership really would let them go over the tax and really try and build a true contender, because even with these upgrades, and especially Lonzo not being healthy, I still do not believe this team can win an NBA championship. I believe this team can be really good in the near future, just I don't know about championship. Hopefully they do prove me wrong. Let me know your thoughts below today's video about this NBA insider bashing the Bulls offseason. And speaking of the Bulls missing out on a lot of free agents in this past offseason, the Bulls did have interest in Kevin Looney. Obviously, the Bulls were cheap. They did miss out on him as well. And ESPN's Zach Lowe, he was one of the many who thought that the Bulls were very quiet this summer, especially after all of the moves last offseason. And he was also talking about how the Bulls failed this offseason and how he was just disappointed as well. And during the July 18th podcast of the Low Post podcast, he was talking about the Bulls offseason. He noted how, when healthy, the Bulls are almost built to embrace small ball when Looney came up. And he did note that the Chicago Bulls were interested in Kevin Looney. And he said Looney, I know, was of interest to them before he did re-sign with Golden State. Another traditional center, smart, high IQ, all that. I'm interested to see what this team looks like. And I do agree. I believe Looney would fit, honestly, pretty nice with this team. I mean, he is a 6'9 center, a 3-time champion. Obviously, he's playing a different role than I'd expect him to with the Bulls if he did sign here. He was a free agent, not for long. He did re-sign with Golden State on a 3-year, $25.5 million deal. I mean, for this past season, he did average 6 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2 assists in 80 regular season games. He did play really solid in the playoffs, having a lot of double-doubles and just playing really solid defense and blocking shots. Don't get me wrong, I like Looney, but not for that price. I believe, honestly, Andre Drummond's a backup center. Honestly, I don't think Looney really wanted to be a backup center in the NBA also, especially to the Bulls when Golden State just won a championship. I mean, it's definitely interesting that the Bulls did have interest in him, but I'm really not that mad that the Bulls didn't overpay for him and miss out on him. Like I've said in one of my past videos, the Andre Drummond signing isn't any big name or anything crazy, but the more and more I've talked about him, I really have liked that signing. Leave some comments and questions below today's video talking about how a Bulls insider does expect DeMar DeRozan to sign a contract extension with the Bulls. A bunch of NBA insiders bashing the Bulls offseason. Also, the Bulls being interested in Kevin Looney and missing out on him. Thank you guys for all the love on the channel and the past few videos. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Have a good one.